We step into the world of big dreams, big moves, and big money. It's the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. After 40 years, the Big Cheese remains dedicated to serving the finest Italian dinners, pizza, pasta, subs, and salads. All of their pasta is imported from Italy and cooked fresh every day. Visit BigCheeseMiami.com. Now, let's find out who's the Big Cheese the Miami Hurricanes are working on with insider Manny Navarro.
I don't know, Manny, but I'm feeling like a little Big Cheese right now.
That's right. It's a good time for Big Cheese Friday. You could taste in that slice of pizza or whatever it is you'd love to dig into over there. There's so much good selection.
I'm just talking because I just bought Bitcoin a little bit ago.
Okay.
It dipped into the 114.4 area, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I just bought Bitcoin in front of everybody, and it's now at 115.6. It just went pa and it went back up again, and I was like, there you go. We're at 115.6. Yeah. And now that we have you on, it's just going to now continue.
It's going up.
So, yes, it is what it is, as they say. By the way, do you agree with me? The one guy that didn't vote for Ichiro into the Hall of Fame, we should punch him in the face.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't.
The airplane scene. The one's freaking out, and we're all
everybody comes up and slaps.
Okay, yeah, that's what should happen to that one guy. How do you? Why do you want to be a contrarian? Why do you want to be an asshole? That's one of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life, dude. Forget about Hall of Fame. That's one of the greatest players to ever grab a bat. Period, dude. A master.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be on the Marlins beat when Ichiro was here and spent some time around him, especially around spring training is when you get to know guys a little bit more. And people always said, oh, he needs the interpreter. Ichiro didn't need an interpreter, man. The guy spoke perfect English a lot of the time. Just kind of had his friend employed for a long time doing the job for him. But good, really funny guy, really great character. And you watched his work ethic, just the amount of time he spent stretching. The amount of time that he put into his body and his bats, like the way I remember he had like a special like refrigerator humidor for his bats to like take care of them. Like this dude did everything top of the line, like to be one of the greatest players I think of all time. And yeah, he should have been unanimous. Shouldn't have been a question.
I mean, come on, dude. I'd strip that person of the vote, bro. Just come on, dude. Really? Seriously. You're not going to vote in Ichiro. I mean, that's just like, I don't know. That makes no sense whatsoever. Carson Beck, dude. I think that whoever the quarterback is should have a heck of a year. And then this guy with the track record he already has, man, as long as the receivers and the tight ends are half decent, I don't even know if you have to be elite. If that line is what we think it is, and that running game, I'm looking for Carson Beck to have a beautiful season, dude. Seriously.
Yeah, he didn't look at all to me like a guy coming off of elbow surgery. There was a lot of zip on his balls. There was a lot of confidence. I didn't see a guy who looked shaken at all. I followed him around. He was super loose. He was joking around with all of his teammates. He looked like a guy who was very happy to be there. And I think that's sort of the number one question you always have, right? When you get a guy who spent 4 or 5 years at Georgia and has a new sort of environment and the reputation that Beck had, that he supposedly wasn't, this great team player, didn't get along with everybody in the locker room at Georgia. That was the story we were being told. And, he looks very comfortable in his skin. And I think you're absolutely right. I think there's enough around him. And let's not forget, this is an important key for the Hurricanes. That entire offensive staff has been together now for a while. Like they have the new running backs coach, but outside of that, like Shannon Dawson has been running this thing now for several years. These guys have been playing in the same exact offense, the same exact language for plays. So to me, you don't have these sort of roadblocks that you normally would, right? Because it seems like everybody changes coordinators within a year. Like you have continuity, and I think that's going to be super important for Carson Beck to have success this year. And somebody will emerge as the true number one guy. I don't know who it'll be. Everybody's kind of got a question mark in that receiver room for different reasons, but I think there's enough talent across the board that somebody will emerge, and they should have a really good offense.
I'm actually really psyched for this season. I really am. When you look at the defensive coordinator, and obviously they have been able to recruit players.
Yeah.
And so tell me, dude, I mean, that if they get an improved defense, they got a shot at getting to the ACC championship game. So where's defense? What do you think about it?
Yeah, listen, the secondary was supremely updated and upgraded. I think, you look at the secondary in particular, Zachariah Poyser, the redshirt sophomore that they got from Jacksonville State. The guy won an all-conference, won the Conference USA championship last year, and was a starter as a redshirt freshman, and 75 tackles, 3 picks. He 6'2", 200. He's got the body physically. Another one of these underrated guys who Miami did a good job jumping on early, beat out some really good schools. He is going to be the key to that secondary, because to me, he is, by all accounts of people I've been speaking to at Miami, a legitimate All-American type candidate. And then you add every single one of those cornerbacks. They got 6-7 cornerbacks in the portal that are all guys that are either good, like, and have played a little bit, or guys that have played a lot and are experienced. And last year that was their biggest issue, just confusion in the secondary. And Poyser is the quarterback back there. He has the green dot on his helmet. He communicates with the staff. He told me he feels his strength is communication. I spoke to him for a long time. He's just one of these hungry guys. No star recruit coming out of high school. Nobody really wanted him. Ended up at Jacksonville State, playing for a good coach at Jacksonville State, who's now back at West Virginia, right? And so I think, I'm not really worried about the secondary. When I look at this team, my biggest question mark is, does Miami have the NFL draft pick at defensive tackle? Because when you think about it, all the teams that win the national championship and win conference championships every single year, brother, what position is most important on defense? You need that plug right in the middle. You need that dude who is going to, and look, Ruben Bain is healthy. He's weighing 270. He's down back. He's lost the weight. His hamstring feels 100%. He's ready to look like the Ruben Bain we saw as a freshman, but he needs somebody right next to him. And Mario has recruited dudes, but they got to step up now. You got to see these 5-star kids that they got, actually, because we've seen the 5-stars. We think about it. Leonard Taylor was a 5-star out of Miami Palmetto High School. What did he become at Miami?
All the special teams from the past all were special at that position.
And to me, that's the entire key, because he's fixed everything else. But I look at it and I say, they need somebody. And maybe that guy's on the roster. Maybe it is one of these young guys. We just haven't seen them yet. We just haven't seen them step into that role yet. But I think if that happens, if they get an elite, dominating defensive tackle, then man, they could potentially win the national championship with this team. I think if that's the one piece that I got to see it. If they get elite there, then they're not really missing much.
All right. Speaking of elite, there might be an elite offensive lineman making a decision. Talk to me. Big cheese.
That's right. Brett College, who is a interior offensive lineman, big body, 4-star over at Bradenton IMG Academy, somebody that Miami spent a lot of time recruiting, is going to be making his announcement around noon today in terms of his college decision. The Hurricanes are in it for him. But I got the feeling walking away yesterday from practice that more likely than not, this is another kid who's going to end up in USC's number one. Actually, they're number 2 now. The number 2 signing class could be back to number 1 if they get this kid. Part of the insights that I gathered was, number 1, his best friend is Mark Bowman, who's a 5-star tight end from out there in California. This is a kid who isn't from South Florida or in Florida, Brett College. He's a Colorado kid, but he's a West Coast guy. So, and then his teammate, Kenye Pepe, another guy that Miami spent a lot of time recruiting, he's already committed to USC as well. So I think all signs are indicating that this is going to end up being USC. But, I had a lot of interesting conversations about recruiting, and so much has changed now, and just in the last couple of years, though, in terms of state laws, high school laws, like being able to pay high school players for NIL. And basically what USC is doing here is fronting a lot of money to these high school guys to get them to sort of jump on board and commit because they can somehow get the money to them while they're in high school. And I think originally the idea was, hey, we're gonna get guys and get them lined up to get paid as soon as they walk in the door as freshmen. But again, this is a competitive sport. Everybody's looking for an angle. I'm not saying Miami hasn't done the same thing. I'm not saying other programs have done the same thing, but everybody's wondering, well, why does USC have the number 2 class in the country? Well, number one, they're desperate, right? They spent all that money on that head coach to bring him from Oklahoma, and they signed him to a huge deal, and he's got that ridiculous house, and so they've got to back it up. They've got to buy these players and get them to come. And I'm not saying Brett College is just going to USC for those reasons. I told you already, his best friend is the 5-star tight end, and his teammate is already committed there. But, my point here is just Miami's not going to get every guy as much as they spend on recruiting, and there's so many different factors for why guys pick or don't pick a particular school.
Okay, so let me ask you an unfair question, because really we won't know until they really hit the field and are in game-like situations, in clutch moments, in tough situations with their backs up against the wall, all those cliches. Does it seem like they're getting their money's worth right now from what they've recruited? Because obviously they've recruited and they've paid for some kids.
Yeah.
How are they looking in camp? And I know you can only, tell so much and hear about so much until they're really, their feet are in the fire. But what are you hearing about those kids?
Yeah, I think this is a really good transfer class. I think they did a good job evaluating needs and addressing needs. What you need to remember with all of this is, what are you really getting out of the transfer portal? Are you getting a Cam Ward at every single position, or are you just getting a Mish Powell, right? Because Mish Powell was a good player for them last year, right? At safety, he did a lot of things for them, helped win them, I think, the Wake Forest game with that pick 6 that he had. I think there's a lot of Mish Powells in this group versus guys that you're not going to hear from. And so I think that's important. And you need to be able to hit on guys that can contribute and play roles and not just be wasted money. I look at this roster in terms of what they accumulated here in the last year and just upgrading the roster. I don't think there's any wasted money. I think Carson Beck, when all things are said and done, is going to be worth the $3 or $4 million they spent to get him to come here. And that's, by the way, what a going rate is for a guy who's won the SEC and been a quarterback in Georgia. So, I think, when you talk about dollar figures, did they waste money? I don't think. I think they're spending just as much and just the right amount that everybody else is spending that has the money available to them to upgrade their roster. And so we'll find out. There's always 1 or 2 guys, right, per year. You're like, oh, that transfer didn't work out. That guy didn't live up to the expectations. But part of that is just there's only so many guys that can't. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think my favorite transfer so far, I would say Zachariah Poyser, obviously Carson Beck on offense. I think David Blay is going to be the kid from Louisiana Tech. He's an all-conference USA guy. I talked to him for a long time the other day just about how – think about the difference here, man, in dollar amounts. This guy was at Louisiana Tech. His body fat was over 30%. He made all-conference first team, not even having the proper nutrition, not having the kind of weight room Miami has. Now he comes here. He's got all the resources he needs to really develop. So I think, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with some of these players. But I think the spending has been the right amount, and I don't project many misses here with this group.
I got to get kind of somewhat political, I guess, because they're getting political in college football. And like as a Bitcoiner, I get to watch both sides just do one disaster after another. And a lot of these trade deals, people don't realize they're not real deals because they're not done through Congress. There's no real, and there's nothing in writing. It's just kind of a disaster, and it's not something that can really be enforced, actually, to be quite honest. It's only something that can be done through threats and all of that. So now, in turn, he's trying to get involved in the NIL deal. So again, this is not done through Congress. And if it's not done through Congress, it really doesn't mean shit. So I'm just wondering, in your world, this whole talk about, Saban, lighting this fire, and then Trump trying to put some executive order that really may not have the teeth. You tell me, explain what you're hearing.
Yeah, look, I think obviously everybody who loves sports, and Trump has obviously been very connected to sports for a long time, right? I mean, you go back to the USFL franchise and just his interest in it. I think for a lot of political reasons, is trying to get involved and trying to help solve this issue, right? I mean, he's brought Nick Saban in and tried to form these committees and had these conversations about how to fix college football.
Tua something. I forgot how. I don't know the dude he was talking about. There's some Tua something. I forgot he mentioned there. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. No, I just think, look, ultimately, like Saban and like a lot of these old time guys who have been around sports a long time, they just don't like the fact that you have free agency the way that it is. And the bottom line is, as long as the Supreme Court is behind these guys getting paid and having the ability to market themselves and be worth what they should earn on an open market, I just think this is all just posturing and people trying to get in the way of what they don't like about sports, which is this movement, this constant free agency. And so I get it. It's worth the attempt for him to try to get involved, right? Somebody has to get involved. We don't have a commissioner in college football. We just have a bunch of leagues, ultimately, like the SEC and Big Ten, that are the big, powerful forces, right? Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, and they're the ones that are really running college football. The commissioners are. They're making all the decisions. They're signing the big TV deals. There's no sort of independent party of all this to regulate it. And so I good try, but I just think it's all meaningless because the Supreme Court is behind the athletes. They won. The O'Bannon case forever has changed college sports.
Right.
And I just think nothing is going to change. I think free agency is here to stay for forever. And I don't know how you ever sort of put, the genie back in the bottle at this point.
Yeah, there's no chance they're going to do it. But, it's going to, like a lot of this stuff that's going on that he's doing, it'll all disappear in 3.5 years when he's gone. Because
right.
It'll all go back to how it's supposed to be done through Congress and everything. Everybody, everyone is supposed to vote on it and that long ass process that it usually takes and all that. That's how it's supposed to be done. But that's why I was wondering, because on this side of the investor side, I see a lot of this stuff and it's just a lot of bullshit that people don't understand. So I wonder on the sports side if there's some of that people think, oh, he's going to change it. No, he's not.
No, listen, this is going to be constant litigation. This is going to be a constant argument every time anything comes up. Like this Xavier Lucas case is sort of the perfect example. The Big Ten is trying to make, Wisconsin is suing Miami basically for tampering with Xavier Lucas. Well, guess what? Wisconsin didn't want to put Xavier Lucas into the transfer portal. They didn't want to lose him. He's one of their best players. And they had no way to stop him. And so every university, all these people are trying to figure out how do we get control back? And they're just, you don't really get control back. He ran the trick play on him. He's like, all right, I don't need to get in the transfer portal. I'm just going to unenroll and go to Miami. I don't, so I just, again, it's everything is going to be a legal battle. When you don't have a commissioner, when you don't have any sort of like structure and agreement and the players association and all these, you don't have any rules. It's the Wild West. And the only rules right now is that you've got this committee supposed to be looking at all these NIL deals and approving them. But again, who's to say that some kid says, well, you're not allowing me to make as much money as I want, and the Supreme Court said I could.
Yep, exactly. By the way, we have the president, right? Talking to go ahead, Sean, play it for us.
He was on the council, and Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback, who is really he's been fantastic. He's been when he's not injured, he's great. He's got to stay healthy, but he's a great guy. NFL commissioner.
He's
a great guy because he's a Trump guy. That's
right. That's why everybody's great.
Everybody's great. Yes. What do you got going on the Athletics so folks can check you out?
Yeah, I'll have I've come out with a lot of different kind of pieces. I just did a podcast with Adam Lichtenstein and the Sun Sentinel if people want to check that out in terms of hurricane related content. But college football wise, transfer portal stuff has been coming out, different articles on just roster construction. I'm actually going to be in Nashville next week for the player personnel convention that they have there. I think there's like 8,000 people going to this thing, and I'm going to network and talk to a bunch of folks. So there'll be stuff coming out of there, and I'll have another Miami story early next week. So there's plenty to read over at The Athletic. And again, I try to tell people all the time, they're like, oh, you're not writing about Miami as much as you used to. And it's like, well, dude, I'm doing a lot of national stuff now, and I'm doing a lot of other things. So I still got the podcast going. If you want to hear my thoughts on the Canes, come here to check out my segment every week here with Big O, and check out my podcast because it's back.
Yeah, and by the way, as they start making news, you'll add more.
Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing going on, bro. Relax.
It's a lot of shorts and helmets stuff going on right now.
The biggest headline was Carson Beck's getting his Lamborghini stolen. Actually, it wasn't,
right.
So,
right.
Now you tell us that his arm is as explosive as a Lamborghini there on the field. So that's
right. That's right. He's looking the part.
Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And, of course, subscribe to The Athletic. Manny, have a fantastic weekend, my friend. Un abrazo.
All right, brother. Same here. Take care.
You got it. And visit our friends, BigCheeseMiami.com. You want some delicious Italian food, the pasta shipped from Italy, cooked fresh daily, and make sure you get those garlic rolls. They are to die for.
You've been listening to the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. At the Big Cheese Miami, they continue to purchase the same high-quality ingredients that the most expensive Italian restaurants use. The difference is they serve large portions at a family price. Visit the Big Cheese at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue in Miami. Call 305-662-6855 or go to thebigcheesemiami.com. Go Canes!